Hey, everybody, you are watching and listening to the We Are Rising podcast. This is your host, Andrew Benjamin. I'm joined by my debonair co host, Jay Christian Gary from Focus Fights.
Hey, y'all, how's it going? And to be honest, this is my first interview since turning 29 for this whole new podcast. So I'm just happy to spend another year around the sun. Andrew, please continue your intro.
And one more year in your 20s. Don't waste them, Chris. I can assure you, please do not waste them.
Hopefully.
But with us, we have Grand Bogdanove, who will be taking his second pro MMA debut fight against Keisuke Okuda at RIZIN Trigger the first. I think it's the first or the first. I haven't gotten clarification whether they mean it's the first or the
Andrew,
first.
I think it's called RIZIN Trigger 1, and his opponent is actually pronounced Keisuke Okuda.
Okay, on November 28th at Kobe Memorial World Hall. It'll be available through the Live Now streaming service with English commentary. And Grant, thank you so much again for talking to us. Glad that we have your second fight. Feels like you've been growing up before our very eyes.
Thanks, guys, for having me again. And yeah, what a crazy chance, what a crazy opportunity it is to go from one fight in a regional organization deep to the second fight being in RIZIN, the biggest show in Japan.
So actually, I got to ask about your first fight. I know that when we've talked about it, you had an opponent scheduled. Your opponent, I think maybe the week of whatever, pulled out. And then maybe even a day or two before, I think. It was like very short notice because from the time that we talked and then when the fight happened, I didn't even know your opponent had actually been changed up until I saw the fight on Deep's YouTube channel. So yeah, just tell us about that. When you got that, when you were told, hey, your original opponent is not going to be showing up, were you like, okay, well, did you think about not taking the fight, or were you just like, I'm okay, you know what, I gotta do this MMA thing, I practiced all this time for it, I have to do it?
Yeah, I mean, I had other stuff scheduled down the pipe. Like that was back in June of this year that I was going to fight in Deep. And they said I could fight the same opponent at a later date in July, but in July I had Quintet, and in August after that I had a different jiu-jitsu tournament, so I needed to fight on the original date. And so even when the opponent changed, I took the fight, and it wasn't that late notice. Like I did get some notice to prepare for this guy, but I mean, I think the end result would have been the same, either opponent.
Yeah, you finished first round about 2 minutes for your naked choke. Were you happy with everything? Did everything go according to plan for how you prepare for the fight?
Yeah, the preparation was good. The fight itself, I wasn't really happy with how I went in for the takedown. I feel like my takedown entry should have been smoother, but other than that, like, yeah, I was able to use a little bit of striking. I threw maybe like 6 strikes, so that was good for me. And then got the choke and won by technical submission.
And I know that when we talked, I know you had said that you were taking this fight because you want to expand your brand, your gym, your name, and you seemed, I guess, non-committal to MMA. It seems like if you got the right offer, though, you would absolutely say yes. But I know you mentioned CTE being an issue. You didn't want to like take too many punches to face. But I mean, what was the tell us about the RIZIN offer? Obviously, if they made this fight to offer to you, you must have wanted to take it. So yeah, tell us about this about getting involved with RIZIN.
So I decided to see if I could get on the Deep card that's in December 12th here in Tokyo. And that was just because, yeah, I don't want to speak too soon or anything, but the MMA thing wasn't really like at the forefront of my list of priorities. So I was thinking about just getting one more in this year and then kind of taking a break and working on some other things in my life, and just finish 2021 strong. So I asked my manager if I could get on that card, and they couldn't find anybody to fight me. So the manager just came back and offered me this RIZIN fight. And before I even knew the opponent, I knew that what getting on RIZIN would do for my brand and for my gym would be, spectacular. So I accepted without even knowing who it was. And then later I kind of researched a little bit, but
So yeah, I know we also talked about you were kind of critical of like kind of like pro wrestling antics in MMA. You seem to, or just martial arts in general, you seem to not be favorable to them, and now you actually are taking on a pro wrestler, a full-time pro wrestler in this MMA fight. What do you think of your opponent? And I guess I don't know if you saw his antics during his last fight with the RIZIN Landmark show. Yeah, just what do you think about his demeanor?
personally, I think it's great. I think it's a great fight for me. I don't have to do anything to promote the fight. He's going to promote it. Like, he's an entertainer. He's a fighter. I'm a jiu-jitsu black belt. I'm a gym owner. Okay. I'll let him take care of the PR side. And what I will do is just finish by rear naked choke in the first round again.
And I mean, come to think of it, Okuda should be used to getting choked out by now. He's a pro wrestler who's built like the same size of Bryan Danielson, if you know who that is. But still, when it comes down to Okuda, I know Andrew just mentioned this, but when it comes down to fighting guys like Okuda, who's more known for being an entertainer and more known for bringing the show to the fights, does that really faze you at all, knowing that you're a more serious competitor?
No, and I'm also not taking it lightly. Yeah, he does throw crazy spinning stuff, and he does do like unorthodox weird stuff in like the first minute and stuff, but he has an amateur wrestling background, and he's got good striking, and obviously a very strong, tough physical body. So despite the fact that he is a quote pro wrestler, I'm not taking this lightly at all. He's a fighter and I'm a fighter. And when we step into that cage, yeah, it's a cage. RIZIN's first event in the cage. We're gonna throw down, stand and bang until somebody clinches. And then when the clinch happens, then it's over.
Understood. And you just mentioned the fact that this event is going to be in a cage, not a four-sided ring, but in a cage. I don't know what the design or dimensions is going to be, but considering the fact that your first MMA fight for Deep was in a cage, do you feel like you're going to be stepping into familiar territory?
Absolutely, yes. When I heard that it was in the cage, I was even more happy about that. They are, I believe, building a cage right now for the event, but there's been some talk that they might not finish it in time. So in that situation, they're just going to use the cage from Deep, which I've already had experience inside of. So I should have a little bit of a home court advantage there.
I mean, that'd be cool, especially considering the fact that when it comes down to the amount of fights that you've had in the cage versus the amount of fights that Keisuke has had in a cage, you should be well familiar with how to go, even though unfortunately I wouldn't say unfortunately, but fortunately for both you and Okuda, it's going to be under RIZIN rules, not the unified rules bullshit we do here in the States.
Yeah, for my style, unified rules or pride rules doesn't really matter to me. I suppose pride rules is a little bit better for my style. I could throw some knees against the cage when the guy has his knee on the floor or something like that, or from the turtle position, I could throw some knees at the head. And I'm not worried about it that much. You got to protect yourself at all times anyway. So I'm not the type of person to put my hand on the ground and not get kneed and like play that game. So yeah, I prefer RIZIN rules.
I'm not gonna lie. I was laughing because when you said that they might be barring the Deep cage, I was like, I'm not surprised to hear that. I had a feeling that there had to be I was like thinking like, are they actually going to build their own cage? But I was like, oh no, they're actually. I'm not surprised that they do borrow from deep. Actually, I do want to ask you about that though, Grant, regarding prior rules. I know you said that you just said it's favorable towards more towards your style, but the one thing is that if I don't know if you're big into leg locks, heel hooks, or even just like any other type of like even arm bars. If somebody, if you try to go for a submission like that, he can legally kick you in the head or soccer kick. Does that at all like? Are you thinking of other? I know you just said rear naked choke, but like, is that why you're saying you're gonna do rear naked choke? Because it's just like, it's less likely that he can use such tactics, offensive tactics against you with those other submissions.
He's big and strong, and if I locked up a triangle on him from the bottom, he'd probably slam my ass like Ricardo Arona and Rampage Jackson. So none of my plan involves submissions from the bottom. If I end up on bottom, my plan is to get on top and take the back, and pound him out from the top position until he gives the back and I can sink into choke. And absolutely going for leg locks and maybe even arm bars and then getting stomped in the face, that is something I'm very cognizant of, which is why I don't intend on attacking from the bottom.
Understood. But when it comes down to the rest of Okuda's schools, when it comes down to the rest of Keisuke's skill set, how do you actually prepare the plan for that? Because of course he's coming in very unorthodox.
Yeah, so the unorthodox stuff, without giving too much away, we have a game plan, and we have like multiple game plans in case different things happen in the fight. I'm studying like fights from the UFC and other organizations where there were similar body types and styles, and trying to emulate those fighters who won in those fights. The unorthodox stuff, to be honest, watch out for spinning back fists, watch out for high kicks. In the first minute, just be ready for some jumping, wild flying shit. And then after like the first clinch, it'll probably just end up being like a normal fight. I feel like when you step in and the gong hits and you go crazy for that first minute, but then after you clinch once, that crazy wild energy kind of dissipates and you get a little bit tired. And then you start to feel like it's a fight and you're not going to knock him out with a flying knee. So yeah, I'm going to be careful for the first minute. And then after that, just be like a normal fight.
Understood. And when it comes down to this being your first fight in the RIZIN Fighting Federation, obviously we should know by now, Andrew and I should know this by now, that the RIZIN Trigger series is basically like a regional showcase for some of the top fighters from, outside the major promotions in Japan, RIZIN, Deep, Pancrase, Shudo. But if you get a good enough, no, not good enough, because good enough don't get you a damn thing in this world. But if you put on a great performance in the RIZIN cage, in this RIZIN Trigger showcase, do you potentially see yourself fighting in the RIZIN Fighting Federation ring on the numbered shows?
Absolutely, man. If I turn in a first round finish, then and they call me to step in as a late replacement for somebody on New Year's Eve, like, yeah, that'd be a dream come true. And you bet I would say yes to that.
Understood. And, speaking of the fact that when it comes down to what RIZIN has been doing lately, getting guys who've been fighting, getting not foreign names, but foreign guys who are already in Japan, like yourself and others, and seeing the fact that the Japanese are now opening up more to getting foreign guys into the RIZIN ring or the Trigger cage or the Landmark ring. What are your thoughts about potentially facing off against future foreign talent, or in your case, future Americans coming into the RIZIN Fighting Federation?
So whether they're American, Brazilian, or like Eastern European or Japanese, it doesn't really matter to me. As long as the offer is good, I will accept it.
Understood. Andrew, got any more questions?
Yeah, so this is at a catch weight. I think about 160 pounds, something around those lines. Do you see yourself going to lightweight? Is that going to be your potentially your future weight class?
Yeah, lightweight or catch weight. If they can do 73 again, that would be ideal. But obviously, welterweight is at deep. It was okay, but in the big leagues,
It's not
it's a little
deep.
too dangerous. So yeah, so I would cut down to lightweight, and that would be a hard and heavy weight cut. But hey, if that meant fighting on New Year's Eve against Satoshi, like, of course.
Well, because I was about to say, probably next to featherweight, lightweight is probably their most interesting division. You know, with Satoshi as their champion, Yusuke Yachi, Damian Brown from Australia, Musayev from Azerbaijan. So it's like that is like a killer's row of lightweights, and I mean, like I'll say off the bat, Satoshi. I love seeing jiu-jitsu guys who have a jiu-jitsu background and then have an MMA fight. I think that's the most fascinating stylistic matchup. So yeah, I mean, like if you got a match against Satoshi, like at some point down the line, like how would you prepare for a fight like somebody like that, especially with like that jujitsu background that he has?
My game plan against Satoshi: take him down and hold him for 3 rounds and punch a little bit on the ground. That
But you
would be
would
it.
probably, but you would probably say that for somebody similar to Roberto Satoshi de Sosa, right? Because
Yeah,
obviously,
yeah.
Rise is not going to give you somebody like Roberto Satoshi de Sosa on the first fight.
Yeah, if they gave me someone else, I would change the game plan. But just with Satoshi, his submissions are really good. So if I took him down, I wouldn't really be able to throw big strikes or pass the guard or do anything, because I would probably get caught in the submission if I move too big. So just hold GSP style with small punches and stuff, Chael Sonnen style. But obviously, if it was someone else, like, yeah, probably I'd move a little bit more on the ground towards a submission or towards a finish by TKO.
Also, I'm interested to know as well. Sakaki Bar did say that one of the reasons why they're having the trigger shows because it's a way for talent, if they ever go to the UFC, to get used to like that sort of environment. Because being that RIZIN, their shows are in rings. UFC is in a cage. Bellator is in a cage. Most overseas shows actually just generally are in cages, even in Japan, Deep, Pancras. They said this is an opportunity for them to get more experience just in the majority environment as well. And I'm curious to know, do you see yourself taking your MMA career either, in RIZIN fully or maybe even beyond Bellator, aspirations for UFC? What is there? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, guys, to be honest with you, first of all, getting into deep without having to fight amateur or build my way up or anything, that was already a dream come true for me. And I was already satisfied with that. Like, I got into a pro show without having to go through the amateur circuit, and I got a win. That's great. That's enough for me. I'm a jiu-jitsu guy. I'm a gym owner, and then RIZIN came, and I'm like, wow, is this real life? Like, it's RIZIN. I've been watching RIZIN since it first came out. I was so hyped when they had Fedor versus I don't even remember the guy's name, that tall, like, Indian kickboxer. They brought him in and Fedor just like fucked him up.
That
like,
guy
RIZIN was
is Jaideep Hart Singh.
Yes, sir, Jaideep Singh. And then from Pride, like, they brought Krokop back and King Mo was in there and Horiguchi came back and stuff. And so RIZIN was like epic for me. And now to actually be on it, that's another dream come true. So when I was talking about getting into deep, I wasn't even thinking about RIZIN. And now that I'm in RIZIN, I'm not even thinking about something past RIZIN. But hey, we don't know how things might end up in the future. And if God smiles again, like, and Dana White calls me and wants to take me to China for the Contender Series over there, like I might say yes.
Well, hey, I mean, it would be better getting a call from Dana White than it would be from Chat Resit Tong. Let's believe that for a moment.
Yeah,
And
one championship, not interested.
Oh, really? No, not interested.
No, no way.
Care to
No.
expand upon that? I'm very curious to know why.
Yeah, the fighters are too good, and the level of like fame in Japan is not high enough, and in the States. So people in Japan don't really know what one championship is. And only hardcore MMA guys in the States. In the States, it's like UFC and Bellator. And people don't really know about RIZIN or ONE. And to be honest, I believe the level of talent in ONE is equal to UFC and also equal to Brave CF over there in Europe. And when you look at Brave and ONE, and you think Brave is number one?
Bahrain.
Bahrain, yes. And all those guys over there, they're savages and they have no names, you know. So not exactly appealing.
I got you.
I mean, that can be understandable. That is understandable, since when it comes down to myself and Andrew Benjamin, obviously we are on opposite coasts of the country. I'm in Central Time, Andrew's in Eastern Time, but we tend to follow more towards what goes on in RIZIN, hence the name of this podcast. I mean, it's not like we're going to give two shits about what goes on with Chat Reese Camp or with Brave CF or even with the damn UFC. We care about what's going on in RIZIN for a reason. And, you know, it's kind of cool that you say you're not interested in ONE FC, but it's also pretty understandable, especially considering the level of talent that Chatri has under his employ.
Yeah, and RIZIN, like, it's the big show here in Japan. I was a big fan of Pride. It's like the direct descendant of Pride, so dream come true. RIZIN is where it's at.
And actually, yeah, I think the last time we talked, I don't think you were officially a gym owner. I think you were still like, I guess, like head black belt instructor, BJJ instructor. But now you own a gym. Tell us about the gym that you own and how that whole thing came about.
Yeah, so back in June in the deep fight, I was still in the process of building my own gym. And then we officially opened on August 1st. It's called Alma Fight Gym Life. Alma is like a jiu-jitsu and MMA brand here in Japan. They've been my sponsor since 2017. And there's 3 other Alma Fight gyms in Japan. And so mine was the 4th and the first one in Tokyo. We're located in Tokyo, Setagaya. The neighborhood is Setagaya. So Shibuya is that huge traffic crossing you see in those videos about Tokyo, that sort of massive city center. So from Shibuya, it's 2 stations west, which is a nice residential area, not too far from the city though. And my gym is right there. We do BJJ, we do no-gi. We have 1 MMA class per week, and we have kids as well, building up the kids program. And then we also have stretch, which is like, I wasn't really sure what it was until a few years ago, but it's not yoga. It's literally like stretching, but instead of trying to touch your toes by yourself, someone pushes you and they manipulate you and stuff. It's really crazy stuff. It's good. It's a very popular program that we have. So if you're interested, we have a website link, Instagram, everything. If you live in the Tokyo area, like near Setagaya, come by for a free trial. We have a very great atmosphere, great vibe, international. Yeah.
Just Setagaya, is that where Toho Studios is? I think I went to Setagaya once. I think that's where Toho Studios is. I think. Or is that Shibuya?
I think that's Shinjuku.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe Toho Studios, is that the thing with the Godzilla?
The Godzilla statue. Not the Godzilla hotel, not the big hotel. Like there's like a Godzilla like a
movie theater.
Not the movie theater. No. This is actual Toho Studios, not the Toho Cinema.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's probably not in Setagaya.
Oh, okay. No. Okay. Then maybe
it might be though. Yes. Actually, it might be. I'm not sure. But the place that my gym is in, it's near like Komazawa Park, a big park, and it's mostly a residential area. So good for families, lots of expats. Yeah.
I'm just curious to know. So, what is your teaching style versus, I don't know, the traditional Japanese sensei coach style? Do you have a different approach to coaching? Or being that you train in Japan so much, do you kind of like teach how like is done in Japan? Yeah, tell us about your coaching style.
The way I teach is kind of like my own way, based on what I've seen, what I've experienced, what I think is good, exercising my best judgment, with the goal being to make my students as good at jujitsu as possible in the least amount of time possible. So usually a lot of classes begin with like shrimping up and down the mats and doing a lot of stuff by yourself, like in a circle, doing these exercises and stuff, which is good. And sometimes we do that a little bit, but mostly we start the class with either drilling or even some specific training, sparring from specific positions, and then drilling technique, and then more specific sparring, and then free sparring. And yeah, that I have found to be a pretty good formula for my gym. My gym's a small gym. We're talking like in the future, max 100 members. 100 would be like too much, but you talk about other gyms where there's like 300, 400 members, you can't really use my teaching style. You need to do the whole like running in circles and shrimping up and down the mats, and then showing really basic stuff and not really going over it in detail. I don't know, how would I describe it? My gym is like a mom and pop shop, and like a big gym with 300 people might be like a McDonald's, like kind of, like 15 burger patties, you slap them down. Whereas mine's like we make the burger patty by hand. And so for now, that's the style I'm using.
I see.
Basically, in a way, it would be like a general store compared to like Walmart or something.
Exactly. And which is better? I mean, you know which one makes more money, you know which one's bigger, but like which one does the customer like? Different people will prefer different ones. So if people like my style, they can come to my place. If they don't like it, there's so many other options here. So it's really a great environment here in Tokyo. There's so many gyms to choose from.
Actually, when you said a small gym, I thought you meant also like physically small, because when I went to train in Tokyo the last time I visited, I trained at a really small dojo. I was just like amazed by like how small actually the martial arts kabutogi gyms are. I think with the exception of maybe like Brave and Triforce are maybe like the only ones that are like actually huge. But sorry, go ahead. What are you saying?
My gym is small, probably just like the one you visited. When you walk in there, it's like a room, it's like somebody's living room type of size. Mine's, so the mat space in my area is probably like 50 square meters maybe, but yeah, it's small, and that's just the way things are in Tokyo. Obviously in the future, we talk about like 3, 5, 7 years from now, I would like to expand and get like a big gym, like the kind of gyms you see in the States, where they're paying the same rent that I am for 5 times the square footage, so that would be the dream. But obviously in Tokyo, where the rent is so expensive, it would be hard. So maybe like move to a neighboring prefecture and do it. But yeah, that's all way down the line. So
actually, I'm also curious to know, you opened the gym. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't last year during the pandemic, but still, in the midst of it, did you think about like second guessing yourself? Maybe I shouldn't open a gym at this time, just because, I know we couldn't predict the future, but all the state of emergency things that happened, and just like, you never know what's going to, you never know what the Japanese government's going to say tomorrow, what's has to be shut down. Was that at all like a worry for you as a gym owner, that like, oh, this could be the wrong time to open it?
I did consider all possibilities, but I'll tell you what, man, I was 10 years old when I started delivering newspapers. at like, I forgot, like 20 cents a paper or something. And I never really spent my money ever since I started making money until I was like 26 years old. I rarely went out. I never bought like a car or a TV or nice things for myself, clothes. I never spent my money. I just saved it up since I was 10 years old. I was saving this shit up like a mountain of money. And I was always loath to spend my money. Like, I don't want to use it. I don't want to use it. But when it came time to open this gym, I used my life savings like that without a second thought. It was the first time in my life that I believed and I knew like 100% with my heart that this was the thing to do. And every other decision in my life, I always thought about it like the good, the bad, should I do it? But with this one, man, it was like full steam ahead. I never had that kind of conviction about anything before, but and that my precious savings, you know, I just used them all up like that. And yeah, never looked back, never had a second thought.
Gotcha. Actually, I'm gonna read. We had two I guess statements when I posted about the interview on Twitter, and actually you answered them already. Marie Shelton want to know how you plan to finish the fight. You gave that first thing. That's the first thing I think you literally said to us when we talked.
All right, Mr. Maurice Shelton, you heard it here first on the We Are RIZIN podcast. First round finish, technical submission. You think this guy's going to tap out? Hell no. You know, he's a pro wrestler. He's got heart. He's a tough, like, son of a gun. He's not tapping. So he's going to sleep. Rear naked choke. First round. See it at 11:28 live on pay-per-view.
What about the time though? Do you have a time? 2 minutes, 38 seconds? Yeah. You got 5 minutes in each round. So I'm assuming that they're doing the 5 minute 3 rounds.
Yeah, it's 5 minutes, 3 rounds. You want an exact time? You want a Mystic Mac prediction? Okay, you know what? It's going to be close to the end of the round. It's going to be 4:34. Or no, dare I even say he's going to be falling asleep at 4:54. It's going to be 4:54. There's going to be 6 seconds left. You hear it's 10 seconds left. He thinks he can last it out, and he'll fall asleep with 4 seconds left in the round.
Okay. Well,
you know what? Can we quote you on that?
It's already been recorded.
Yeah. This I don't know. I hate editing. This is gonna be not edited at all. So we got this on paper, well, on video. I was about to say on paper, on video.
Yeah, we got this on video. We just hope that Joe Ferraro and whoever he's commentating with can watch this before even thinking about calling your fight.
And the other comment,
who are the commentators? The English commentators?
I'm assuming it's going to be Joe Ferraro and Damian Brown, because they've been the ones who've been doing all the numbered shows. So I'm guessing that they won't be doing anything different. Somebody who we would like on English commentary, though, did also put a comment in the for this interview. Stuart Fulton said he's looking forward to your fight.
Stuart.
He's looking forward to your fight, Grant. That's what he says.
Thank you for the support, Stuart. I spoke with Stuart a little bit. I met him back during the first quintet that I fought in. Great guy, awesome commentary. Love his work. Like, he's like our version of Joe Rogan, but better at MMA commentary, dare I say.
And huge. I didn't know he was such a big guy. Like, he's like 6'5" or 6'4".
He's quite a large gentleman. He's like 6'5" or something and wide. You know?
Yes. Actually, speaking of quintet, do you gonna still be actively competing in BJJ? If quintet comes around and says, hey, we want to give you a super fight, or another team thing, is that at all still of interest to you?
Yeah, so in the BJJ world, there's like the amateur tournament grind, which is where you see guys like Marcus Buchecha, and all Leandro Lowe and all these guys come up paying $200 to fight in a tournament and get that gold medal, that picture on Instagram, and build their brand. And that's the way it used to be done. But with the pandemic, there's become like almost a second branch of super fights, team battles, cash prize tournaments, winner takes all type of things. And, I love the tournament grind. I did that for like a long part of my career, and I will still continue to do that. But if I can fight on a show where I don't have to pay to fight, and they are actually going to pay me if I win. So like quintet, cash prize, jujitsu, super matches, super fights, things like that. Yeah, that's like what I'm about. I'm not really a MMA fighter first. I'm a jujitsu fighter first. So you guys will see me out there on the jujitsu mats frequently. Looking to go international next year as well. If I could get some offers, or just a big international tournament like Europeans or Worlds or something next year.
How
Be on the
about
lookout.
Abu Dhabi? They just had the trials on East Coast just this weekend.
Yeah, so ADCC, that would be a dream. I'd need to pay for the plane ticket out there though.
Mhm.
So
That's the one thing, yeah.
yeah, you have to fight in the trials of the country that's in the region of your citizenship. So I can't do the ADCC trials here in, it's not in Japan this year, actually, it's in Singapore, but I believe it got pushed back or something. But yeah, I would need to go to the States to fight in the trials, and ADCC, man, that would be brutal. Those guys, I don't know how I would stack up against them, but I would love to try.
Mm.
Is it because of nationality reasons that you would have to compete in the States?
Yes, absolutely. As an American national, I have to compete. But the thing about competing in the North American trials is that they have 2 tournaments and you can fight both of them.
I mean, of
Oh,
course,
okay.
that would make sense because isn't it in the East Coast and the West Coast, right, Andrew?
Yeah, no, it's both coasts. My coach just had his on the East Coast in New Jersey of all places. So yeah, yeah, if you had to do it, you probably have to go all the way to California, and right now, yeah, right now is not the best time to be doing traveling to California and then back to Japan. Then you're stuck in a hotel for 14 days again, all that crap.
Well, that's only
But it's
if
changing quickly.
Hmm?
They reduced it from 14 days to 10 days. And then if it's for business purposes, you only have to stay put for 3 days after you return to Japan. So it's getting
Oh,
better.
okay. Okay. I thought this, I knew I thought I heard something about the reduction. I didn't know it happened. I thought it was happening like next year. I thought that's what I heard.
This month.
well,
Oh, great.
Andrew, the thing is, only if you're vaccinated.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Only if
as
you're
well.
vaccinated. Yeah.
That too as well.
Are you guys vaccinated?
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay. Yeah. So you got, but what about how about anything else for like, the flow grappling now is like, we got Gordon Ryan coming back, after his, health issues. I feel like BJJ is kind of like on a little bit of a, on a, I won't say mainstream upswing, but it definitely is on an upswing now a lot more than I think in recent years. I feel like a lot. It's now because I'm reminded of something that Jacare said. He said that he left competitive BJJ because there was no money in it. That's why he went into MMA. And now I think it's quite possible for a high level jiu-jitsu practitioner to actually make a sustainable living in the field, whether that's opening up their own gym, doing whatever BJJ fanatics, or the competitive circuits. Do you feel like that's how the competitive world of jiu-jitsu has improved a lot since when you first started training, Grant?
Yeah, it has. And specifically from like the Japan perspective, it like in the States, most people kind of know what jiu-jitsu is by now, thanks to the UFC and just the general popularity of it expanding. They might not know the rules and the major teams and organizations, but like they kind of know that you throw on a gi and grapple. In Japan, like because of the dominance of judo and karate and traditional martial arts, Brazilian jiu-jitsu really isn't known by the average person. So as the gym owner, the first thing you got to do before you can even say, hey, like this is my gym, you want to come to my gym, you got to teach them like what jiu-jitsu even is. So that makes the business aspect a little bit harder, as opposed to selling like apples or something. Everybody already knows what an apple is, they just have to choose red or green. But now first we have to tell them what an apple is, then have them choose our gym or the other gym. and then make the sale. But because of like Satoshi and Kleber and these guys from Bonsai, jiu-jitsu guys coming in to the mainstream MMA scene and not just like doing well, winning decisions, but like submitting big names. So I was talking to my uncle the other day. He was like, yeah, you know the guy who submitted Mikuru? And he's like, no, I don't know him. I don't know his name. I just know that like Mikuru passed the fuck out. And that's the thing. So because of those guys, that's probably why I got into this RIZIN show. One reason is they're trying to get foreign names in, and they can't bring guys from overseas. So they got to get foreign guys who are already in Japan. But the other thing is this jiu-jitsu wave that's happening, which is kind of reminiscent to like when Rickson Gracie came on the scene back in the day. There's like martial arts fans, old guys, like 40, 50 years old from that Pride boom back then, which is when Brazilian jiu-jitsu had a huge boom in Japan and a lot of gyms came up. And right now we're having kind of like a second, like a renaissance, dare I say, from not Rickson Gracie, but from like Satoshi and Kleber and these bonsai guys. Another guy you guys should watch out for is Igor Fat Ninja Tanabe. He's one of my training partners, jiu-jitsu fighter. We go way back, like we go back 5-6 years. And he debuted in Heat last month, submitted technical submission via triangle. He's got Polaris coming up. He got a huge fight in Polaris this month, and he's going to be fighting MMA again soon. That's someone who, unlike me, he's got his heart dead set on MMA and making it like to the UFC and beyond. So keep an eye out for him. Keep him on your radar.
So yeah, if you actually want to see more of Fat Ninja, which I think is the funniest nickname that it's really.
Wait a minute. Is Igor Tanabe's nickname really Fat Ninja?
Yes.
I love that nickname. Oh, his fights, super fights, and I think he's done also the Team Quintet things are all on the UFC pass. And I'm sure you can find that Heat fight somewhere in the dark crevices of the YouTube Japanese scene. But I also think he's also competed here in the United States as well. I think he's
multiple times. Yeah, he's a world champion in jiu-jitsu in the States. That world championships held every year in California. You know, he's competed all over the world in jiu-jitsu, and you will soon see him compete all over the world in MMA.
That'll be fun to see, especially considering the fact that, like you said, Igor is one of the top guys in jiu-jitsu. I mean, it's only going to be a matter of time before he becomes one of the top guys in MMA as well.
Mm-hmm. So it's starting
especially
to look
in Japan where the upper weights are so thin. He'll become a superstar here quickly.
So one of the last questions I have about your fight, Grant. So you win it 4 minutes and 54 seconds in the first round, rear naked choke, technical submission or official, or I don't know, whatever the opposite of technical submission is. Do you plan to do any call outs? Do you have anything planned if they throw a microphone in your face?
You know, if I win in spectacular fashion, which is the plan, you know, God willing, my plan is to get the mic and call out Satoshi for RIZIN New Year's Eve, a special exhibition match in the gi. See who the best jiu-jitsu black belt in RIZIN is. Legend against young up-and-comer, black belt on black belt, RIZIN New Year's Eve. Let's go, Satoshi.
You know what? That would be fun to see.
That'd be awesome. I miss when RIZIN used to do all those like jiu-jitsu. They used to do like grappling matches, and they would I remember when Satoshi did the like the 3-person gauntlets.
Basically, what Andrew was
the
trying
5-on-1.
5-on-1, yes.
5-on-1.
Yeah, the 5-on-1 gauntlet, yeah.
Yeah, he was trying to mention the 5-on-1 gauntlet where it was Roberto Satoshi de Souza versus Team Yuki Nakai. And then there was a tag team grappling match that featured Hideo Tokolo and
Wanderlei and Sakuraba and Tamara. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, I remember that. That shit was
Oh,
crazy.
I love that shit when Ryzen would be like, oh, we're gonna have a tag team grappling match, and we're like, oh, that just sounds all. And then you get Wanderlei, you got Sakuraba in Tokoro, and there you're like, okay, this is gonna be awesome. So yeah, I no, that'd be great because I love it when Ryzen would kind of just have like it'd be a potpourri of just not just MMA matches and kickboxing matches, but there'd be a grappling in there or some weird mixed rule whatever type match. So yeah, that would be really cool. And if you were to beat him in such a exhibition, you would definitely be in line for a title shot because you would have defeated the lineal Ryzen lightweight champion.
I mean, I guess if I were to somehow win in jiu-jitsu, the next logical step would be to do it in MMA.
Yeah, well, imagine what that would do for you. I can tell you this for a fact that Satoshi, the Bonsai Gym, I don't know how because I think they're like in the middle of nowhere in Hamamatsu, but apparently they're like their gym, like their membership or the amount of people going there like went up like upwards like so much after he won the title supposedly. That's what I was told.
That's amazing, dude. That Ryzen effect. Also, what I noticed was when Ryzen announced my fight, I got like 40 Twitter followers, like within 10 minutes of that announcement stuff. So yeah, Ryzen, it's the big show, guys. It's the big one.
Oh yeah, listen, if they upload the stuff on YouTube, if you get like a crazy ass win, it could be like 600,000 or maybe a million. Yeah, well, along with your win and whatever Okuda plans to do, whatever pro wrestling crazy things that he has planned. Yeah, it's definitely a fight I'm really looking forward to because I know what you're going to do, but I have no idea what he's going to do. You probably don't have any idea what he's going to do like that first minute. You know, it's going to be something crazy, but you just don't know what it is.
Yep.
And you know what? Speaking of Okuda, let's just say somebody in Dragon Gate is giving him this as like fodder for his training for this fight. Let's just say he's watching this right now and trying to understand what the hell we're all talking about. What would you say to him up close and personal, face to face, if y'all were to square off against one another before this fight happens?
Man, what would I say? Just what I said before. He's got a bad losing record in MMA, but I know that was against tough guys. So I'm not taking it lightly. We're both going to bring it. I'm going to leave the PR side to him. He's the entertainer. He's the fighter. I'm not a fighter. I'm a jiu-jitsu black belt, gym owner. My job is to just do the finishing touch in that first round at that 4:54 mark.
We going to quote you on that. You know that, right?
You call me Mystic Mac.
You don't predict these
Mystic
things.
Grants.
You don't predict these things. You just do them.
I'm trying to think. So we got Mystic. Let's see. Mystic. I'm trying to think of like what's so there's Mystic Mac. Like what? Like it have to be. I have to go with Mystic Grant. It has to go be Mystic or Mystic Bog. Mystic Bog.
Mystic Bog. And you know what, guys? I do have some Irish heritage in me, like almost every American. I got like, I think 1/8 Irish in me, so I can claim that.
And with that being said, Grant, we want to give you the opportunity to plug your sponsors, plug your gym again. Anybody else you want to give a shout out to as well? The floor is yours.
All right, thanks, guys. I want to thank the We Are Rising podcast for having me again. Thank you, Andrew and Christian. All of my sponsors, especially Alma, my gym, Alma Fight Gym Life in Tokyo, Setagaya, Japan. Come check it out. You guys are going to see some crazy stuff go down, not just my fight, but there's a lot of other awesome fights on this card, like happening in Kobe, Japan, November 28th. Check it out. It's going to be streamed with English commentary and Japanese commentary as well, international pay-per-view. It's going to be a blast, guys. Ryzen's first event in the cage. Check it out.
And one more question I want to ask is, what do you hope that fans can hope to expect from not just this fight with Okuda, but for the rest of your fighting and grappling career to come?
Just also, I want to expand upon that this might be the first time as well that American fans get to see you fight. I don't know how many watched your deep fight, but you're at least guaranteed to get more American fans with this show than probably the deep fights.
Yeah, that's great because, like, I mean, I'm an American. I love my country. I live over here. I do my business over here and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I'm a patriot. So to this new audience that sees me, guys, you're going to see something great. If there's any Iowans out there, represent Matt Hughes. I might walk out to Matt Hughes' walkout song. I've been considering it. It's going to be fun. Tune in November 28th.
Hey, you know what? I'm pretty sure if you do come out to Country Boy Can't Survive by Hank Williams Jr., people won't know the difference.
Yeah, you're right.
But still, man, it's been fun talking with you. And as we mentioned before, Andrew, if you can duck down a little bit and I can see the graphic. As we mentioned before, November 28th, RIZIN Trigger the first, as Keisuke Okuda will take on Grand Bogdanove at the Kobe War Memorial Hall in Kobe, Hyogo, Japan. The event will be live streamed in the English language through the international audience for Live Now. Go to live-now.com or Live Now Global on Twitter for more information about that. Otherwise, it'll be streamed on the usual RIZIN platforms, RIZIN Live, Exciting RIZIN, and Sky Perfect in Japan. Other than that, Grant, we thank you for joining us, and we hope that you kick this man's ass 21st.
Hell yeah, guys. Thanks for having me.
No problem, Grant.